Hey everybody, how's it going? Let me focus this really. Best picture quality. There we go. All right, so let's see. I received a question in one of the comments, and the question was from one of my more recent subscribers: how do you know if a lantern was supposed to be painted originally or not? Well, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked. Some general rules of thumb you want to remember when looking at a lantern. Say if it is painted, you want to look for brush strokes. You want to see if the burner cone or the burner is painted. If it is, somebody painted it along its history, and it wasn't painted from the factory. General rule of thumb, most lanterns prior to the 1920s were bare metal. They were originally finished in tin. Today, a lot of them are rusty, and the tin is long gone. But sometimes you get lucky and you find one that still has traces of its original tin or mostly intact. So it depends on how it was stored, where it was stored, and you know, if it was still stored with fuel in it or dry. So it takes all types, really. Some of the lanterns I have, I want to share real quick, are painted from the factory, and I'll show you how to know that. We have this Embry 210 Supreme. This is the original color. Let's see. Let me focus, zoom in on this. So you can see that it has some chips in the paint. It's bare metal underneath. So this is the original paint. It's also got some character to it. And even though it's in really good shape, it still shows some age. Let me refocus on me. There we go. So you can tell that this thing was original from the factory. And it dates from about 1939. Embry started painting their lanterns, I think, around the late 30s, early 40s. But yeah, this also indicates a factory paint. They never painted the burner cones or the burners. They were always bare metal because, well, they're conductors of heat from being burnt, and so a lot of the paint that they would have used would have just, fell off. It would have just crackled and fell off. But yeah, this is a great piece. I love this one. Here's one that has been painted by somebody else. This is a 1913 era Dietz top lift D-Light. So this thing has been painted. This predates 1913, 14, right around there. It's about from that period, actually. But they didn't paint the bottom. So, but this is not a bad paint job. It's probably a rattle can. It's just a single coat, nothing too crazy. It would strip actually pretty well, I'm sure. So eventually it will. But you can tell that somebody painted it besides the bottom not being painted. But the burner is painted. The burner collar or the wick channel or whatever you want to call it is painted black. That was originally brass. So there's brass under there. So yeah, that's been painted. So I also have this wonderful old number 0 Paul's, and this is original paint. That's the factory color. It wasn't exposed to as much air or dirt or light, since it was probably sitting on a shelf in a barn or a garage for most of its life. But the rest of it acquired this really nice darkness and age from either dirt and grime or whatever. I didn't really clean this much. I just left it as is. I was attracted by just the way this thing looked on eBay. I just I had to have it. Even the globe, it still has a lot of lamp black in it. I haven't cleaned a thing on this thing except for just putting a wick in it, burning it. I love it. Actually, I think it has an old wick in it. It probably does. But the burner cone on this thing is bare metal. It's just aged. It looks dark. But this thing just looks awesome. Shout out to Mr. Ken with Lots of Trains. If you're keeping your Paul's Cold Blast its original color, I approve. I think it's going to grow on you more so. This thing is it's just killer. It looks so neat. Just the way it is. All right. Moving right along. Japan. There's another coating that they used on lanterns prior to the 1920s, mostly in the late 19th century or early 1900s, was Japan. Now, they didn't send them to Asia and have them coated. Japanning is just a term for a lacquer finish that has a pigment in it, and that was designed to protect the metal from rusting, especially for lanterns that were designed for more outdoor applications, like say this Buckeye dash lamp. This was definitely designed to be on a wagon. So it looks bare metal. Well, it is now, but there are traces of Japanning. This one was originally blue. I'll show you. Check this out. You see the blue color? Yeah, check that out. So this traces of blue Japan exist on this lantern underneath and some on the air tubes, and mostly where the solder joints are, that is still kind of there and present. But Japanning was, you could find various colors of Japanning. And I believe it was applied with a brush, and it was like a thick lacquer, and then it would become hard and pretty durable for its time. I've seen blue as well as dark red, brown, or green, and black. Black was definitely common amongst other colors. But Japanning was very common on these Buckeye dash lamps or side lamps or outdoor beacon lamps or whatnot. So the reflector, though, back here, this little guy would have been just bright, uncoated tin for the best reflective possible to focus through that little lens for nighttime driving. So yeah, it's good stuff. And if you happen to have a mill lantern or seen the mill lanterns, this one's original. A lot of the ones from the 20s, this one's dated 1929. This one's original paint. See, it's pretty bright red still underneath, but dark and aged. But yeah, a lot of mill lanterns were painted red because, well, they would be in a stamp mill or a grain mill or a sawmill, and so they wanted to, you know, stand out so you'd notice them better. And they had those cages to keep them from being tampered with by employees for either lighting cigarettes or adjusting the burner. So yeah, that's why the cage is on there. And they also had a little padlock at times too. But so yeah, I hope that helps. I hope that answers your questions and addresses your concerns about the matter. I'm really happy to know that there are younger collectors that are coming out and, well, subscribing for one, but also asking questions, and that's great. I'm really happy to hear that. I started collecting these things around 10 years old. So yeah, it's good stuff. All right, everybody. I hope that this content satisfies and answers your questions. We'll be back again with some more content in the week to come. All right, have a great weekend, everybody. Well, take care. Bye-bye.